Welcome everyone to another live stream here on drawingtutorialsonline.com. My name is Matthew Archambault, and as I say all the time, let me just lower the volume here. As I say all the time, I don't think I'm ready for this today. It's a rainy, stormy Monday, and I'm so happy actually that it's raining because I put grass seed down and we need the rain. It's a little bit of a nor'easter. As usual, the weather service kind of blew it out a little bit. Hey, Phoenix. Welcome, welcome. And they said that we're going to get like 50-mile-an-hour winds and all that. It hasn't been that bad. It hasn't been that bad. But so, yeah, I'm excited about that. We needed the rain. We needed the rain. Okay, so what's today's class all about? Today's class is all about just sketching some landscape scenes using multiple techniques out of our imagination. What are the techniques that we're going to use? I need to clean these glasses. Oh, my God. Jesus, seriously? I thought they were clean. I just cleaned them. Yes, what are the techniques we're going to use? We're going to talk about horizon lines, 1, 2, 3-point perspective. Maybe we'll do all three. I don't know. We're going to talk about depth. We're going to talk about values. We're going to talk about texture. A lot of good things. Hey, Slora, welcome to the live stream today. I think maybe the first thing I need to do is get my glasses cleaner. I'm sorry, this is very unprofessional. 1 second. Very unprofessional on this rainy, dark Monday. All right, let me just put these on. Okay, yes, cleaning the glasses. So what I would like to do today in the live stream is I really would just sincerely like to work with a simple mechanical pencil. You know, sometimes I have these live streams like all planned out, and other times I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, it's Monday. I need to do the live stream, and I have no idea what I'm going to draw. And hey, John, welcome. Good afternoon. It's about 10 a.m. here in Eastern Long Island, on Eastern Long Island in New York State. And yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a good class. It's going to be a good class. As soon as I'm done cleaning these glasses, we are going to get started drawing. Okay, I know I should have done this before the live stream started, but I guess I didn't have these bright lights staring me in like the face. And then as soon as I put them on, I'm like, oh, okay. And these glasses, like I said in the last live stream, are like older than me, and I'm pretty damn old. So while I have this glasses cleaner fairly clean, I'm going to clean my other set. Okay, Phoenix, 3 p.m. here, and awesome, awesome. Okay, so it's kind of week 7 in the fall semester at the School of Visual Arts. Students are really starting to do some great work in my perspective class. And this week we're going to talk about how to draw people in perspective in that particular class. And our landscapes class is week 11, but I really wanted to do this today. I wanted to switch it up because a couple people were asking about landscapes. Okay, let's do this. Let me just get my swig of coffee in my reindeer mug or moose or buck or whatever you want to call it. And I'll switch cameras and we'll get drawing. We'll get drawing here because you're not here to listen to me talk. Trust me, I know that. I know that. And you're certainly not here to have me not talk in the microphone, and I understand that as well. Okay, so let's go to this scene. So I will just do this scene for now until I get a drawing on the paper, and then I'll zoom out a little bit more so you're not, I'm not so zoomed in like this. You don't need to see me this big, trust me. Okay. And where is my live area? My live area is here. That's the top. And where's my right side? My right side's over here. Cool. This is kind of small. Good. And that's the bottom. All right. So oh boy, I'm hearing a siren. That's not a good thing, considering I live in a sleepy suburban town. Something's going down. Okay, hopefully a tree didn't fall on anybody. All right, so the first thing that I would like to do here today is I would like to just draw like a little frame for my landscape. Okay, that's kind of big for a mechanical pencil, and yeah. So how big is that? Just so you kind of have a clue as to what I'm doing here today. It is 4 by 2 3/4. Let's just call it 4 by 3. Not quite. Okay. Why? You know, that's kind of small, but for a mechanical pencil with shading, yeah. Okay. So first things first with the landscape. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a low horizon line. So very low horizon line here in this first scene. And I think in this first scene, what I'm going to do, just to be a little bit more generic, is I'm going to put my vanishing point right in the middle. Okay? And so I'm going to just do some grid lines like this. When you do this grid line thing, it immediately creates depth in your scene. Hopefully you can see that. And so maybe what I'm going to do is in this particular landscape, I'm going to kind of like lead you to this like tree line that is centered. Okay. And yes, and behind the tree line, I want to have a low-lying kind of rolling hill. So right now, I like I said, we're just drawing this out of our imagination today. So when I don't have photo reference up, I understand it might be like a little bit more difficult. And am I centered? Yeah, okay. So let's just backtrack. So what did we do, and what should you do if you're drawing along with me here? Let me just make sure I can see these comments. I'm going to lower my video. Center VP, I would say, is a very, very formal way to go. There's a gazillion different ways to go. And we'll each little composition that we're going to draw here today, I will do a different vanishing point at a different horizon line and a different perspective, okay? I kind of want to stick with the 1 point on the first two drawings. Yeah, very bold move. Very bold move, absolutely. Okay, but there's a time and a place. Ooh, more sirens. There's a time and a place. Thank you, Paul, for welcome. Doing a centered vanishing point. Well, one time and a place is when I'm doing this for my class, and I want to make really good use of the paper, the limited paper size that I have, like in my little scene that I'm drawing. A centered vanishing point is actually pretty cool. Okay, so next steps could be maybe what I want to do, yes, is I want to do like a stylized cloud that is also kind of going towards the horizon line. So for me, when I don't know if I love what I did there, but I'm going to leave it right now. So next step that I say to my students all the time, when you do a scene like this, you gotta have different things, different values. So I'm shading now in a straight up and down pencil stroke direction. Just what am I doing here? Simply put, I am just blocking in tone. I am just blocking in the first layer of tone. Okay. And yeah, why am I, what am I doing? Why am I over so much? Okay, this is going to be terrible, but I'm going to block me for a second. I just need to move my camera for a second. I got to loosen something. That should be better. That should be better. Sorry about that, YouTube. So, okay, now what we have is a two value scene. And that didn't really, that didn't do much. That didn't do much. I barely moved the freaking camera. Okay. So now I'm going to make a decision that the trees are going to be a little bit darker than the rolling hill kind of behind the trees. And I'm going to try to make it look like trees. And I'm seeing that my head's in that camera like too much, way too much. It's Monday morning, it's raining, it's windy. Um, so I'm just doing straight up and down, straight up and down, straight up and down. I have these like centered trees, and I'm gonna come on in next and perhaps make the trees actually look like trees. Hi, Yusra, welcome. And so how I'm going to do that is just with line. I'm drawing very stylized today, not traditional. Just what you want to think about with what I'm doing here today is that what I'm doing is basically doing thumbnail sketches for like compositions and not like realism. So maybe what I'm going to do here is have this is a ginormous like evergreen like pine, and then I'll go a little bit higher with like a regular type of maple oak tree, like right next to it. Yes, and so I'm just using different types of things here in terms of edge texture to define things. But again, this is like a thumbnail. And a thumbnail is just a quick sketch for an idea. It's not a finished thing. It's just that you're kind of doing more of like a value structure. And now let's say this is like an open field and it's leading us to that point. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some suggestions of like some tall grass. Just in leading us there. And the pencil strokes here in the foreground should be taller and darker and a little bit more contrasty. And then as those pencil strokes go into the background or midground, because the mountain is the background, they should start to become like a little bit more horizontal. And it's a centered vanishing point, John, but it's not a centered composition because I'm going to add like another evergreen over here. I'm doing the trees off kilter, like off center. But the vanishing point is centered, right? And I don't like that tree. It's a little too futuristic for me. So I just want to I want it to be more of like a tree trunk that with a tree that doesn't really have needles on it. I like forest scenes like when they show some like scraggly trees that are kind of seen the better part of their life and they're kind of dying off a little bit. Like it's that white tree trunk of like an evergreen that's bare. And in this particular case, it's dark because we need dark against like the light sky. Okay, so now over here, I'm just going to do like a little bit of like tall grass. And yeah, that's this composition. Very, very, very simple. And now what I usually tell my students at this point in the game to kind of like reinforce the scene, press down hard on the border. Press down hard on the border. Okay, create that composition. Good. And I'm thinking about the clouds. I don't like those clouds. Okay. I didn't really do a warm up today, and my hands don't feel great today. Yeah, a little shaky. That's a neck thing. So I'm going to start again with my clouds. I don't want to do like poofy clouds. I kind of just want to do clouds kind of somewhat. Those clouds are a little horizontal. Gosh darn it. Okay, so let's tilt down. And now, okay, so the clouds are killing me today, people. They're killing me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a gradation in the sky. And we're going to label all these things at the end so you do these in your little thumbnail sketches of landscapes. So a little gradation is a wonderful thing that creates depth in the scene. And I might come back to it, but I just wanted to do this quickly for everybody. And maybe what I'm going to do is go a little darker here. Like I said, this is kind of a big sketch for a mechanical pencil. So I'm just shading straight up and down, scribbling sort of shading. I'm going to have like a little foliage overlapping that horizon line, coming back in perspective, just so there's like a little bit of overlap. Different textures over here. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. And yeah, it's nice to solidify the scene with a border. I've been doing like these little mini compositions for years, and maybe we'll do one without a border as like a vignette. Maybe I want this evergreen thing to be like a little bit more pronounced. And okay, I think the darker I go with the value on the trees, the better I like the scene, because then the mountains, not mountains, hills kind of recede into the background. Now, we could also do a gradation on the ground, but I don't want to do that. Now, my biggest concern with this scene is that the ground is almost the same value as the sky. And I preach to my students all the time, you've got to have different things have different values. And that's really going to give it its strength, right? And why do I keep leaning to the left? What is wrong with me here today? Now, if I do tone here, it kind of is making it a little too muddy, and I liked it lighter, but I want to practice what I preach, and what I preach is different things should have different values. So right now, the ground is technically a different value than that sky. I don't know how effective it is, but that's what you want to do. Okay. And I'm almost done with this first little composition. I want to do like a bunch of like compositions here today. And I want to reinforce the perspective lines because I just think that they look very cool when you do that with your landscapes. Okay. So I need to take this sweatshirt off. I was freezing and like 10 minutes ago. I guess it's the coffee. It's making me hot. Let me just take this off. 1 second. 1 second. Okay, 20 minutes into live stream, 19. Well, it's 17 minutes in, and we have one scene drawn, and I want to recap it. 1 second. Okay. If you have a pen, or a paper or a pencil, hey, Eldeberto, welcome. Okay, listen to me. Things that I want you to write down, and this will help you moving forward to remember this stuff. Okay, so number one, what did we do first? We set up our horizon line and we determined where our vanishing point was. Okay, the second thing that we did in this quick little thumbnail sketch, where it's not about realism here, is that we drew our perspective grid that immediately created depth in the quick little thumbnail sketch. The third thing that we did was we started drawing our tree line and our rolling hills, so we can have layers to the landscape. We tried to draw some clouds coming down to the vanishing point because that's always a very good thing for you to do as well. Our clouds weren't that successful. Right now they kind of look like an afterthought, but we're just going to leave it. So we did that, and then we started shading up and down. So far, I think that's like 5 things. And we started to try to make a solid value because solid values are really important. And then we said different things should have different values. And then we just reinforced some different textures in the foreground, like over here. We did some different textures. Now, I think we did 1 or 2 other things, but that's a lot. That's a lot for you to think about with your thumbnail sketches. So now I'm going to zoom out a touch because I want to draw one right underneath it. So now I'm going to try to zoom out a touch. And I'm going to lift up this sheet of paper so I can. Oh my God, I drew this on the my undersheet of paper. My undersheet. Well, it's like, yeah, okay. Not because, yeah. Oh, well. And I didn't even draw it on the front of the paper that has the texture. Really, Matt? Really? Okay. Gee whiz. Okay. Gee whiz. Let's do another one. I, I I'm not drawing on this paper. I got to draw on the right texture. I was going to draw right underneath it. Screw it. Okay. You see what I like to do here? Because tooth is everything. I put an F for front. That's the front of this paper. And I can tell immediately that's the back of the paper. But I couldn't tell because I was, as they say in like Italian, I was a little bit of like a stunad when I started that I didn't realize I was drawing on my undersheet. Now, what's an undersheet and why do we need an undersheet? Well, I'm drawing on my Cintiq screen, my computer screen. So light comes through the paper like a light box. But it's against a dark Photoshop, so nothing came through on that, which is good. And this is pretty thick paper, 80 pounds, so the light doesn't come through like newsprint. And it's nice also when you're drawing to have like a paper underneath the sheet of paper that you're drawing that acts like a little bit of a cushion. Like it's nice when you draw on stacked paper. Yes, it's Monday. Because it's like a cushion and it's not so hard. And the what you're drawing on has like a little bit of a like bounce. Okay. Do I want to use a mechanical pencil? Do I really want to use a mechanical pencil? I do and I don't. I do and I don't. That was like that took a little longer than I wanted. Okay, one timeout. It's really windy out there. Like when that wind hits those trees, it's like, oh my God, is that tree coming down? Okay, let me just mark where I'm at. Top. That's like I don't love New York State. But I love the season changes, and I love this time of the year when the seasons start to change, leaves start to turn, and yeah, and the cold like comes in, and it's been hot for like way too long. Okay, let's draw another scene. Why am I drawing so high today? Why am I drawing so high? Because I want you to see like my bald head. That's why, right? Absolutely, that's what I want. Um, cool. Now, we did a low horizon line on that one. I can see that one showing through. Jesus. Today, now, this one I want to do a higher horizon line. And I'm going to offset my point. Okay. And I'm going to still do the grid lines. They don't need to be perfect. Okay, I've got a lot of depth now in this scene. I've got a lot of depth. This is cool. So I'm going to do the same thing now with my tree line, but this time I want my trees to be huge. Okay, so there's going to be a big tree right there, a cluster of trees. And then I want a low tree over here further away. And then I want like a rolling hill, and the hill would be higher there. And yes, okay. So what do I do next? What do I do next? So I'm gonna just block in. Well, actually, you know what? I want to do something like a little bit more aggressive with the sky. Maybe there's like a storm cloud coming on in, and this is gonna be the area of light. Okay, so when you do, let's say you're an animation student and you're doing thumbnail sketches for your backgrounds, like you should start this way, like with this. Now you could always you can always like say, oh, okay, you know what, I want to start like, hold on, time out, Do I have any scraps? Yeah, I got scraps. I got beige and gray. I want it. I want to crop in like that. Like that's my 16 by 9 scene. Maybe that's what I'm gonna do, and that's really cool. Or you know what? Maybe this is the poster, and I want to make it like vertical like that, and I like that too. So yeah, like this is how. But honestly, you can just do that with your pencil. And if you're working in Photoshop, it's so easy just to kind of do it in layers. So now I love shading straight up and down. Um, so Phoenix asks if you draw a figure. We just did this in class. We were doing 2 point vertical, not horizontal 2 point, and 3 point looking up. And then we did 2 point vertical, not horizontal looking down, and 3 point looking down. And we put a figure in that scene at the end of the hallway. And since it was 3 point looking down, the head was not. But in this scene, you could, um, if the person is drawing this landscape and they're at their easel outside. I forgot what those outdoor easels are called. Their head would be where the vanishing point is, no doubt. So yes, that's a good question because that trips a lot of people up. So I want my sky cloud thing to be horizontal stroke. Now you can say, but Matt, isn't that flat? It is, but I'm okay with that because it's miles away in this scene. Okay, cool. So we've established now when you do this, people, listen to me. This is very important for you to remember. When you do your thumbnails, like this is the most important thing. Like this is all I teach really. Do it in 3 values. Have your dark, have your middle tone, and the white of the paper. If you're really looking to do this fast, okay? Now, if I was looking to do this fast today, I wouldn't be using a mechanical. And this doesn't even feel like a soft graphite in here. Feels like an HB. Oh, here comes the wind. So if we lose electricity, we lose electricity. This is fun, so I hope we don't lose electricity. So that's my first block in. I think I wanted, yes. And this was a hill, yes. And this was another tree cluster. And this was a hill. Notice I'm doing different pencil stroke directions. And I want this to have like my tall clumps of grass on the perspective lines, not going horizontal like that. Horizontal is flat. Horizontal is okay at the horizon line. I'm trying to be. So the thumbnail for this video was from an artist, Isaac, Isaac, Levitan, Levitan. And they're on wikiart.org. And they're like one of my favorite like landscape painters. They're a Russian painter, and they only lived to about 40, and they just amassed such a huge body of work. And they're just like so incredible. And yes, you should check them out on wikiart.org. Go to the search, type in Isaac, Isaac. I think that's how you spell it. Levitan, Levintan. Levitan. I can't spell and draw at the same time, sorry. Okay, so not loving this tree. I'm not loving this tree by any stretch of the imagination. Darn it. Okay, let me just kind of keep pushing it. So listen, you have to be solid with your values. Another tree over here. Mountain over here. Horizon line. Clouds. distant clouds. I'm still kind of doing perspective lines. Pencil pages, welcome. And so I'm just going to... Okay. So we've just done 2 scenes. Okay. I think I'm going to switch pencils and go to the black. I like the idea of the mechanical pencil if I was working small. Of course. So what am I doing here? Matt, what are you doing, for Pete's sakes? I'm trying to show both of these at the same time. That's what I'm trying to do. And then the teacher realized that he effed up. And then the teacher realized he effed up. Okay, let me put a new base layer down. And let me tape it. Almost there. I just got to tape this down. That would be a nice like book cover. And then the teacher realized he effed up. Okay. And scissors, Matt. I feel like I'm in arts and crafts when I use scissors. It's so funny. Okay. So, sorry for hitting the mic. Okay, here we go. Let me raise it. So we have, my goal was to do all these on one sheet of paper. Okay. So we have our, I gotta zoom out. 2 compositions. Jeez, oh boy. Almost there. I see your question. I'll answer it in a second. So I like them both. I don't know which one I like better, but I like them both. Now I see. Okay, so we're gonna do a little recap here in a second. I just need to tape this down so it doesn't fall, and I don't need to hold it up. Okay, there we go. Question for Matt. When I want to draw a perspective sketch where I add in my arms and legs and lower torso fisheye lens, do I put my vanishing points? Okay. I might do that 4-point perspective. I'm sorry, 5-point perspective and not 4. So, yeah. Let me see. 1 second. So, if it's fisheye, one, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you could have things in perspective going like that. This could be your legs going towards, and I'm just drawing them as simple cylinders. So if I arms and legs, and this technically could be your sketchbook in your lap. And I'm just going to draw lines like that as if it was a journal and not a sketchbook. Um, and yes, so maybe your hand and pencil and sleeve would be there. And then whatever you're looking at would be in this sort of 5 point. I'm not saying this is the only way, and I'm not saying it's the correct way. I'm just, because you asked, and I'd have to have like a little bit more context for it, but I would maybe do it something like that. Um, yeah, so it's fisheye lens. I would do it this way, and yeah, this was homework for my students, and let's say this is I- the window, and this could be like part of the room. So that would kind of go back to that. Let's say this is a picture on the wall. It would go back to those points. Maybe this is the window that you're sketching out of. And yeah, okay. And then this would be the floor. And this would be the bottom of where the floor meets the wall. So I know that's like a big hot mess right there, but, and I'll just shade the wall so it, yeah, it would take me a little while to like really figure it out. But that's just one way, okay? Okay. So these are our two compositions, and I think they're really cool. Like I love this sort of stuff, and I like this one because the perspective lines lead our eye to the horizon line to this big grouping of trees. I like this also because the perspective line leads our eye to that big oak tree, whatever, and at the end of the field, and that looks cool. Yeah, the perspective thing. We just had our week 4 was our 5 point and 4 point perspective, and a bunch of other. We called it odd perspective days, and it was a lot of fun. Okay, so I think I need to get rid of Big Matt here, and let's do a different scene. And no, okay. I'm gonna move my paper. If you can just bear with me for a minute here, people. I think really what I need to do is make this paper go horizontal. Better late than never, right? Better late than never. Okay. It's my thumbnail in Photoshop under. I'm in slow motion today. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I'm in like, I have my formula for the live streams in terms of drawing a figure and drawing a portrait, but today, with all of this, with the thumbnails, I'm a little off kilter. I don't even know what pencil I want to use here today. I think this is like too soft. Um, okay, I'm going to use the cheap Blick .7 mechanical. Yes, and I'm going to put my grayscale down because this paper is very light. Cool. Um, or it's gotten dark because it's just showing light. We're going to do a different scene now. I'll start here. And then I'll do a bunch of them on this sheet of paper. Okay, so what we did earlier was we did high horizon line, 1 point, low horizon line. So let's do low horizon line or in the middle horizon line, which is very safe, and a point over here and a point over here. Okay. That's the Blackwing 607, 602, which is very, 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 very soft, like a 9B. Um, so, can you explain a little bit about animation? What is it, and can a person learn if he is weak in Photoshop or Procreate? So, okay. That's a mouthful, Yusra. I don't know. Like that would take me like hours to explain. But what I can say is this. So I have no idea. Did the Renaissance draftsmen draw on their nails to design a concept? I don't know that. Um, so Yusra, listen to me. There's illustration, which is one image that does not move, and then there's animation, which is imagery that moves. So you can show somebody leaning against the wall, but animation would be the animation artist draws the character walking to lean against the wall. So it's animation is just about movement, okay? And but there's all different facets of animation. So there's different skill sets in the animation industry. So you can have somebody who works in the animation industry and they just do storyboarding, thumbnail sketches like what I'm showing you here. You can have somebody who's in the animation industry and they just do kind of uh, backgrounds. You can have another person in the animation industry who does the actual animating. So and I don't want to turn this live stream into all that stuff because then I'll get completely sidetracked. But if you can just remember this, that illustration is one image that tells a story, and animation is movement that tells the story. Okay, character movement, background movement, all of that. Yep. Yes, that's correct. Okay, so 2 point. So what I'm going to do is the same type of thing now. I'm going to draw this grid to that point. It's not perfect. And then I'm going to go to point 1. So now our land is drawn in a 2 point grid. Okay. And it's, like I said, it's not perfect. I'm just freehanding here. And so, okay, let's think differently. So, yep. So I'm going to say that now my tree line is going in perspective to point number 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to block this in. And then maybe I have another tree line that's going to point number 1 that's smaller. And that's now I could have also done something here in the foreground, but I'm just gonna maybe I'll put like a log there that's on the ground and it's pointing to 2. Okay, so now this is completely different, and then I'm gonna have some clouds going to 1. And it doesn't need to laser beam in on that point. So I don't love this tree formation, so I want to make it feel more like a tree. So I'm being very, very stylized today and sketchy. I'm not being realistic. I don't want to draw broccoli trees. And I'm just blocking in some tone here, making that tree line feel a little darker, trying to be loose with it, but that's pointing to 2. Now this log here maybe has some branches that are overlapping. Yes. And tall grass. So yeah, and now the mid-ground tree line is our mid-tone, and then I can have like a distant hill back over there. So now I'm not loving it. I'm not loving it, but the idea here is that Truffles is snoring right now on the chair behind me, and sometimes the snoring goes right through your head. So, okay, I say I don't love it, but it's a quick sketch, and it's starting to come together. So, basically, I've got this log here, and I've got my land going to point number 2. I've got the tree line that is very much like in shadow. And that also is going to point number 2. So everything now is on a diagonal. So now this tree line becomes almost level because it's close to the horizon line. And so now I'm going to keep this tree line flat. I don't want it to be much in the ways of like detail, and then the hill back there is also going to be flat but a lighter value. This is a great way to think about your landscapes. So now what I can do, these clouds, I'm going to do some lines because maybe they're like wispy clouds and not poofy clouds, as a technical poofy versus wispy. And I'll do my border. So what you could do now with something like this is you could bring the viewer on a journey, but the journey would be in perspective. So I've got like this grass line that is pointing us this way, and then I have an opening between the trees that is pointing us that way. So really what we're doing is we're drawing on the perspective grid. And what that's doing is it's bringing us this way, and then I can have something over here that kind of points us through the tree line to the hill back there. So lots of cool things happening that are a little bit different than the one point. Okay. And I love this sort of stuff just because it's so much fun, and people don't really think about doing their thumbnail sketches with perspective. It's kind of like the last thing that they think about. And what I'm realizing teaching the perspective class now, I don't know, maybe for 4 years, I'm not sure. Maybe, yeah, I don't remember. Hold on one second. Is that if you start everything with perspective, everything just is better. It's just better. Totally. That's just my opinion. So our horizon line was almost in the middle of the image, which isn't really the best way to go about things. But in this particular scene, I kind of like it. Does anybody have any questions about what I'm doing here with this? So I'm trying to be loose but yet solid with my tone. I like this pencil graphite so much better than the other one. Okay. Okay. So this is just different. It's just different. This, I like this too. I like that too. I love open fields in perspective like that. Okay, let's do a different one now. And let me lift up my paper. Okie dokie. Almost ready to draw. Awesome. I should have done this in Photoshop today. Would have been easier. Um, let's do a vertical. Almost there. So, um, okay, let's do like a little bit of a lower horizon line. So I'll do my horizon line like right there on this vertical. And so if I carry these thumbnails over to the final piece, would the shapes have mostly stay the same, or would you change them and add details? Um, so there's, oh, that's a good question. Okay, so everybody has a different process. My image making process, I documented my image making process on drawingtutorialsonline.com under the course title process. And so my process started with thumbnail sketches like this. And this was just to get the idea out of my head. That's all it was for. And then my next step would be to go find photo reference or photograph my photo reference. And then things would change, but not that drastically. But they would change, no doubt. So, like, I don't want to get into my whole process here, but I'm teaching process in my perspective class in 2 weeks. So this upcoming week is um, people in perspective, and I think we start to talk about process. So this is a thumbnail sketch, and thumbnail sketches, it's a little bit bigger than my thumbnail. Thumbnail sketches are technically, I used to do them like this. And since I used to work in the book cover industry, I would do, let me do this over here. I would do like little thumbnails on the manuscript, and I'd be like, oh, okay, so I've got my character, they're standing here, and I couldn't really draw back in the day, so this is how I used to like to draw. And then this would be like my background. I want a high horizon, and I'd have like storm clouds over here, maybe, and this would be sun setting, and then the character would be like on a hill, and I'd have to leave like a little extra room for the title of the book, like that. So let me extend this up, and this would be the character, this would be their arm, maybe they were wearing like a dress, and I would just do like a thumbnail sketch like that, flat. I didn't really do too much perspective. And perhaps there's like another opposing hill there. This would be the foreground hill. I wouldn't have the foreground hill at the model top of their shoulders, so I would take note of that when I go to my final. And so that's what I would do. That would be like a classic thumbnail sketch. And then I would go find my photo reference. This is a little bit bigger than a thumbnail. This is more like a rough sketch. But are all of these sketches using the, I don't know what that means. Fibonacci process. I don't even know what that is. Okay, so this our horizon line's really low, and so maybe that's going to be like, maybe explain to me what the Fibonacci process is. 1 second. One second. 1 second. Oh boy. Okay. Gosh. So horizon line's really low. The golden ratio is that's one layer to compose an imagery. Well, maybe we'll do that on the next one. Um, yeah, that's just one thing to take into consideration when you're composing images. So maybe in my background, I'm gonna have like a canyon style distant mountain thing. Um, yeah. And I'm going to lay in light mountains first, like that. So, one of the most important things that you can do when you do these quick sketches is big shapes of value. Yes. And so now what I can do is I can start to layer some um, taller trees in front of those mountains. And what do I want the ground to be before I get too entangled with trees? Um, Maybe it's going to be like a little stream like that, with like a little tilt up embankment. Okay, I'll come back to that. I'll come back to that. But either way, we've got perspective, okay? And we've got value. So now I'll do like another tree here. And I'm also going to put one here. They don't need to be going perfectly straight up and down. Another one on the edge for overlap, like a lead in. Cool. Maybe a couple going further back that are a little less tall. And I want the ground to be fairly dark at the bottom. Different things, different values, a gradation. And the embankment is still going to stick with perspective lines. Distant. And then maybe there's like a mountain back there. Don't press down so hard on these lines, which I just did. And maybe some foliage on these thin pines. I'm being very sketchy today. Cluster some branches. And that's a really quick, very cool composition that I really like. Um, So the light is kind of coming down the center. I can be a little bit more light and shade. So I can go a little darker here and have the light down the center. Yeah, I kind of like that. Either way, it's got depth. I can have a gradation. So these foreground mountains are a little bit darker. And go lighter with the pressure with the pencil on those midground trees. And technically, we could also have a gradation from top to bottom. And of course, we can go crazy with this. I can add more needles on the branches of these pines, these scraggly pines. This could be like the stream. So this is a different it's still 1 point, right? Now, I should have done that 2 point looking up. We'll do that next. Okay. So let me just see what's my coffee situation here. So let me just kind of go over what Pencil Pages is asking. Okay, so just time out. Wow, I can't believe we're already an hour in. I should have done them all on one sheet of paper. Okay, so can you share some advice with me in terms of thumbnails or concept sketches? Is less more to convey a scenario or subject in a quick thumbnail? Yes. It's like I'm not doing a ton of detail. So the number one prerequisite for me with thumbnails is that it's just getting the idea out of your brain and onto paper. So for me, thumbnails are about shapes, okay? And they're always about 3 values. And yes, thumbnail sketches, which are quick concept sketches to get the idea out of your brain onto the paper, should have less detail, okay? Now, whether or not you decide as an artist to put more detail or less detail in the thumbnail is based off of many, many factors. One factor is your deadline. One factor is your style. So, is it a tight deadline? Okay. So, let's get the idea out onto paper. Let's do as many thumbnail sketches as we can on one sheet of paper. And then I don't know what your work process is, but your work process will dictate what next steps are. Okay. And I am very, very big on process, and I don't like to teach process until the midpoint in the semester because there's too many things to teach, and you can't teach it all at once, right? So I like the students to make mistakes and learn from their mistakes, and then give them the ultimate solution as how not to keep repeating the same mistakes over and over and over again. And what that is what's your work process, okay? So for me, thumbnails are just a way to get information down on the paper outside of my brain. So this is not looping in my brain, and I'm not going to lose that idea because I got it down on paper. Okay. Now, this is 1 point. Let's do the same scene in 2 point, but I'm going to do it a little bit smaller, right next to it. Let me see if I can zoom out. this is kind of how I envisioned the day to be with all these drawings. Yeah. Okay. So 2 point. I'm going to do my center, and let's get rid of this. Cool. I'm going to do a point there, and I'm going to do a point here like what we had. So I'll draw the grid. That's my horizon line. This is my other point, but I'm going to lift it. I'm going to put it there. Want it a little bit higher. So now those trees would be going to that point or in the vicinity of the point. It doesn't need to be exact. So we have 2 points, right? We were doing this in class, and I actually have a video from maybe it was August or July where I did 2 point perspective. So now let's do. I'm still going to do those distant mountains, but I'm going to kind of still do them in that natural look, but just the trees are going to tilt up. So I will put that background in for the mountains. Back over there, like it's like we're in a canyon. And technically, I can do stuff with the mountains to make it go up to the second point. And so now this would be the tree. It's a little bit more extreme. And I'll do another tree here a little bit closer. Yep. Well, it's just a different way to compose an image. Like I repeat myself over and over and over again to the students every week to remind them. Yeah, it looks more dynamic. To remind them of why they're in the perspective class. I'm like just the word perspective sounds like so 1970s, right? It's like, oh, perspective class. We're drawing like ellipses and we're drawing boxes and we're going to do the cheesy cityscape thing. And, you know, it's kind of gross. And it's like, oh, God, we need to get the lines straight and all that. But I remind them each and every week, I'm like, you're in this class to create more dynamic animations and to tell more dynamic stories. And what perspective does is, in essence, it gives you more storytelling options. In a nutshell, that's what we do. And we do it via all of the different venues of perspective, which is 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 5 point, 4 point, all these different things. And how we crop the scene. Like, it's just too much to go over in like one live stream. It's an entire semester. I do have a perspective class on my website, and I get better at teaching it every single semester. So it's almost like that class that I had like from a couple of years ago. I almost kind of like want to redo it because I'm learning new things each and every class I teach perspective. So yeah, now, okay. So now we could even have some of the things on like rock formations on the mountains kind of going up like that. And what I really need to do is make the mountain be a little bit more solid. Should have done that vertical. To the point, to the point. So perspective gives you options for storytelling. It's that simple. Now, I could clean it up, get rid of that. And that's just, it's one is not better because like all this depends on your style. One is not better and one is not worse. It's what your style is and how you are as a human being. Are you more like energetic? Do you do fight scenes? Do you do calm scenes? Like I would never. I think I only did like 3 point perspective once in a book cover, and it was because I did it by accident. I didn't even realize at the time what the hell I was even doing, because I did. I have the painting actually hanging up on my wall. Um, yeah, I don't want to. It's pretty high up. I don't think I can reach it. Um, okay. I think I need a bathroom break, people. It's been an hour and 15 minutes. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah, it's time for a bathroom break, and I need to get up off this chair. And I will be right back. So give me like 2 minutes, okay? Awesome. All right. So what I want to do is I just want to cut this out, and I want to stick it on this sheet of paper. Yeah, like it's it can be a lot. It can be a lot perspective, but you just got to do it in bite-sized chunks, right? Like, so in my class, week one is like 1 point perspective, and it's objects in 1 point, not landscapes, not cityscapes, not interiors, not all of this other confusing stuff. It's just objects in 1 point. So you've got to be um, very logical with the way that you approach learning and implementing perspective. So first it's objects in perspective, and then it's, oh, okay, let's do this funky fisheye lens, and then let's do something more funky. And where's that other drawing? Oh, there she is. Okay. Okay, my bad. I need to do this. Almost there, people. Almost there. Does anybody have any questions about what we're doing here today, or questions just like in general? I should do one with the law of thirds. I did not plan my paper out right. I'm just cutting this out because I want it to be like a messy composition page, and I want you to see the difference between the graphites and what it does. And, you know, you might be a little bit neater than what I'm doing here. And again, you know, I hate when people say there's no right and there's no wrong. But that's a fact. Like with this stuff, there's no right and there's no wrong in what I'm doing here today. What is right and what is wrong is you deciding on, hey, this is my style and this is my process. And this is what I do to create a scene, not what other people do. And once, you know, you kind of figure that out, then you just keep repeating the process until you get bored with it, because ultimately people get bored with their own process, and then that's when you take a trip to the museum and learn and look and get inspired by other people and other things, and maybe you're like, oh, I need to bring this other step into my work process because I'm starting to get like a little bored with myself, and that's a legitimate thing. Okay. Um, 3 point. Yes. So almost there. We can do a 3 point scene. Um, we did looking up. We'll do one looking down. So this is the. I'm going to venture to say this might be a 3B or a 2B graphite. I'm going to say that's like an HB, and yeah, there's something to be said for that. Let me do one thing here. Where's my trackpad? Trackpad, come out wherever you are. Okay, and one second. I'm just adjusting. Almost there. Oh boy. Let's just, yeah. One second. Like I said, my hands are not working today. Thank you, Slor. Hi, Matt. Love your class in here. It's great. Are you going to do this more often? I've been doing a live stream every single Monday at like 10 a.m. So, yeah. Okay. Let's see. 3 point looking down. Yusra, 3 point looking down. And I need my other glasses. So, one. Am I going to have enough room here? So, one. These points are too close together. So, when you have points close together, that's no good. Okay. And 3. So, I'll do a smaller sketch. So, this is my horizon line. Okay. So, I've got 3 points. 1, 2, 3. And I'm just going to maybe map out a box. I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay, I'm starting to get a little inspired here, so I'm going to do a compositional shape first, like a line of action, and I'm going to say this is a forest, and it's going to be somewhat dark, and this might be the land that has snow, or it's just like a little bit lighter. So maybe somebody's looking down, so I'm going to do a tree first. That's the base of the tree. Cylinder, 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 cylinder. And I'm just doing those cylinder lines. I'm going to get rid of that. That's kind of a little thick. Darn it. Okay. And then this tree, going down to point number 3, this tree going down to point number 3. Going down to point number 3, going down to point number 3. So we're looking down at this forest, and I don't like this tree this thick. It's gross. So better. So this is more of an extreme. I'll put some like little branches. And now to point number 2, I could have like a little path. Yeah, I'm just making sure I have graphite in here. That's why I'm shaking it. So that could be a path. And let's go back. Make the border a little bit heavier. Is this making sense? And so I have no idea what I'm drawing, but I'm just drawing a forest scene. This is light. That's in the tree line, so it's gonna be like a little bit darker. And I'll just make this be like a pathway that is made out of like a decking pathway. My mother-in-law has this where they live. So now these boards. So Slar, maybe I'll try to do the next one on my iPad. Okay, I'll do the next one on my iPad. It's the same thing. I basically just, or maybe I'll do like a screen grab of my computer screen. I'll do that. My Photoshop. So Yusra, do you see what's happening here? Like this could be like boards, and this is like wood. I know I'm being very sloppy, but try to draw this with me. And that could go to 2. The wood kind of goes there, and then we'll go darker with. Is this making sense to you? So now even this would be like a board. That goes to that point number 1. And then if I had like branches, and like maybe there's like a little bush here, this would go up to point number 2. I know I'm being like a little messy right now, but I'm just trying to show you that would be our horizon line. Maybe we've got some roots. Yeah, so I recommend when you're doing something a little bit more complicated, like a 3-point, that you kind of try to keep it a little bit more simple before you start adding things going on all different types of points. I mean, like, for instance, if I was just doing a simple, do I have room here? If I was doing like a simple 1-point scene, let's just do an interior. If I draw, say, a 1-point box, and I go back to the point, it's like a 1-point box. Do I have room here? I could do a 2-point box in the same scene by starting with a vertical. Going there, going there, going there, going there. So Yes, you can combine and you can have a gazillion points on one horizon line. But I would not do that to start out with. First, I would just set the scene, and then I would start to add like different points in one scene. I think for like a 3 point, this would be complicated enough. So I don't think I would go too much crazier with it. Okay, so Yusra, that's how I would do a 3 point looking down. These are the trees, branches, skinnier trees in the background. All that goes down to point number 3. Yeah, and this could just be like planks of wood. And now if let's say I wanted to make like a railing, the stiles that hold the railing need to go down to 3, and then the handle goes to 2. Hope that makes sense. I know it's a little sketchy, but I'm just trying to give you as many different options as I can here. And then I could make this darker, as if like it's a forest, and my compositional shape is that. Okay, so I've been at this now for like an hour and a half. I'm going to give my website like a little bit of a plug. If you are interested in learning more of this, if you have no idea what I'm talking about when I say process style subject matter, you're like, wait, what? Check out the link in the description below, drawingtutorialsonline.com, and consider signing up for a membership. You can stay for 1 month for $20. You'll get more information at $20 than you've ever gotten anywhere, because when you log in, you have access to every single course, and you get access to me via a critique that happens every Monday. So you can upload, let's say, a sheet of drawings like this to my critique gallery, and you can ask me a question. Matt, what do you think about these? I was a little confused with the 3 point. Can you help me? And then every Monday, I film a critique after this live stream, and I draw over member artwork. And for $20 per month, and if you just stayed for 1 month and you got 4 critiques, that's insanely. I am like losing money at that. And yeah, considering a college education, and I'm teaching the same things in a college for $75,000 a year at $19 a month, it's absolutely ridiculous. And if you want to save even more money, you can sign up at $147 for the whole year. And it's like, it's such a good deal. And then you can get a critique of your artwork every single Monday. And you have access to all of my course library. And you get a Zoom class every single Tuesday, a live class at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. That's my little plug. The first thing, like, if you see this and you're like, oh, this is really interesting. I don't know how to do this composition stuff. And you just sign up to my website, and you just do not even watch one course or one lesson in a course, and you just use the critique gallery, it's worth the $20 for the month. It's insanely worth it. Okay. Yeah, so some objects in a scene can have their own point. If you have, the only thing that's true is that you can only have one horizon line. That's what I find to be true. Okay? You can only have one horizon line, but you can have a gazillion points on that one horizon line. I'm trying to think of what. I think I'm going to go digital next, but I'm going to draw on my Cintiq. I know some people don't like digital. Should I? I'll ask you. Do you want me to draw digitally and do a screen share digitally? Let me know, people. If you like the video so far, please give it a thumbs up. That would be helpful. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. That'd be cool. Okay. We can do digital. Anybody else? Ooh, it's quiet out there. It's quiet. Okay. All right. Let's just give it a go. Let's give it a go. It's going to be a big mess. Hold on. 1 second. So I am going to go to a different view. There we go. Let me move this. So this is like, I think, 12 by 16 sheet of paper. Those are some pretty big thumbnails. Yeah, we've got a bunch of different views, and that's all that matters. And that's what that process is about. It's about creating different views. So your images don't always look the same. Okay, I'm just setting up my Photoshop here so I can share some things, get a new image. File new. Sweet. Okay. And where's my brush? No. Yes. Okay. And okay, let's switch here. And screen. Cool. Now, my problem is now I can't see the chat. I know that's not full screen. I know that's not ideal. So I'll make this bigger. And I just, yep. Cool. Better. Okay, so let's. I'm at a loss for a scene right now. So when I work in Photoshop, I use this brush. It's the brush that I like to use in Procreate as well. I don't really work in Procreate because I teach in Photoshop. But do I use this brush like this? No, I do not. Instead, what I do is, let me get a couple layers here. Instead, what I do is I bring this brush from 250 pixels down to, let's say this is 300 dpi, so that's 7 pixels. It's still pretty thick. Okay. I'm at what? Oh my God, 5 pixels. What the hell? This is so different than my iPad. I don't know what to draw. God, what am I doing? I need an idea. So, okay, so I'll just do, I'm going to draw. God, okay. I want to have room for the points. So I'm trying to envision a scene. I'm trying to envision a scene right now. I'm at a little loss here. So let me make a low, I'm going to make a high horizon line. I like the high horizon line. And I'm going to have a point here and a point there. So what I'll do first is I'll draw my grid. It's really what I'm doing here is not good. Like I'm doing a scene without having a vision in my mind of what I want the scene to be. But can you draw a castle? Okay, a castle. Let me try. Okay. Okay, I'll go with the castle. I'll go with the castle theme. So I need to start over. Castle. Ah, okay. I'm getting a vision of a castle from 4 Point. Okay, I'm remembering now. I'm getting some ideas. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, um, okay. I know it's a lot of lines right now. We'll try to make it happen here. So, let's just have that be straight. So now the side of the castle is going to go down to 1. And this side of the castle would go down to 2. And I'm not a big fan that that is in the middle, but let's just keep it there. And so now maybe I'll draw like a little wall here. So this is what you don't want to do as a teacher. Like you do not want to do this off the cuff like this without any concept of what the hell you're even trying to accomplish here. That's a recipe for a disaster on a live stream. So I'm just going to put a little tone in. I should have just done this like in 2 Point. Put like a little tone in. Put a little tone in. And perhaps this would be distant hill mountain. Okay. So I'm going to adjust course, and I'm just going to make it be like a 2 Point. And we'll crop it. So for instance, perhaps this could be like a little doorway. Okay, little window, and this could be a bridge that goes to 1. Yep. And so now what I can do is draw the other side. Oh boy, that was a massive gust of wind. A little lower. I am so not loving what I'm doing here, people. I'm just going to show you how I would crop it in after the fact. So that's going up to 1. That's going down. We'll do like another window over here. Maybe I've got like another window over here as well. Another window over here as well. I've changed it from 3-point to just more of like a 2-point. And perhaps this could be like a thicker yep. And maybe I'm going to have this come down. Maybe this is like some, yep. So that is how I would do a 2-point scene. And then if I wanted to, I can be like, okay, you know what? I think I kind of need to like crop this. I feel as though I'm going off like the deep end with this because I really don't have like an idea in mind. So I would crop it, and maybe I'm going to crop it even more. Yes. And now I can start to just, it's the same thing I was doing with the mechanical pencil, quite frankly. And I could say, oh, okay, cool. I'm going to do like a little foliage here in front of that castle. And this is how I would start to build my little world. And I could start to do other things like stone texture. Yeah, there's so much this could be. So this is how I would start to do things, perhaps. And so now these stones can kind of go up to point number 1, and that would start to tilt down to point number 2. So, okay, this is leaving a lot to be desired for me, but now I can start to do things like maybe there's like a little tree line next to the castle that is overlapping, and this could be some like foliage. Usually there wouldn't be in an older castle because this would give the enemy things to cut down and throw at the castle or use to climb up over the castle wall. And so that would be like a no-no. But you can see that I went from 4-point to 2-point, and then I started to use values. And yeah, okay. So this is kind of how I would go about doing something like that. Now I'm going to get rid of this. This is, well, let me just get rid of it that way. So you can kind of do the same type of thing that we were doing earlier. I'm out of ideas for scenes, which is kind of telling me that maybe I need to end this like live stream. I'm trying to think of like one more. Yeah, so okay. How about I do like a quick like little recap, and then we'll call this like a live stream because I'm kind of a little bit out of ideas for things. So one of like the first things that you could think about doing when you're doing these thumbnail sketches is you could think about just making a frame. Are you working horizontally or are you working vertically? And then or vertical composition. So that should be like the first thing that you're going to decide. Okay. Um, so think about that. And then are you going to have a low horizon line or are you going to have a high horizon line? So that would be the second thing that I would start to think about. Are you going to have 1 point or are you going to have 2 points? Okay. These are the things that you need to really, really think about when you are drawing a scene. Okay. And so, is it a vertical composition? Is it a horizontal composition? Are you going to do a high vantage point or a low vantage point? Do you want to do a simple 1 point perspective or do you want to do a. So, let's say, wow, that's some pretty crazy wind right there. I can't believe we still have the internet. Um, so, for instance, then I like to do is I just really like to establish a grid, and so like if this was like what Paul wanted, like a sidewalk, I would just do this sidewalk like right there, and then this could be my buildings. Um, Going to that point. And that would be how I would start this. I know it's pretty rough, but I would kind of start it like that. And perhaps this could be like a doorway into like a shop. And then we think about the phrase different things, different values. And this whole storefront would be a value, and then perhaps there's like an awning on the storefront, and the awning goes to the point. Yeah, that would go there. So you would just kind of first think about the point of view that maybe you want to do in this particular scene, and yeah, you just kind of build it out, and then this could be like another building, like right next to that one that goes down to the point. And it's helpful, like when you do different things, should have like different values, and then maybe there could be some like distant buildings like in the background, and that they could be flat. You don't necessarily need to do everything in like perfect perspective, and those buildings could be like a little bit flatter, and then you say, oh, you know what, I want the buildings in the foreground to be like a darker value, so they come forward, and I want those buildings in the background to be a little bit lighter and a little bit more atmospheric. And so that is yeah. If you're doing this completely out of like your imagination, okay. Um, Let me let the dog out of the office 1 second. Okay, so I think we're just about at 2 hours almost, and I think we're gonna call this one done. And so, does anybody have any like last questions? You know, with this digital stuff, like I know I'm drawing really sloppy right now. I understand, but with the digital stuff, you should also let me know if you want me to do a figure drawing class with this digital as well. It could be potentially pretty fun. And yeah, so you let me know in the comments if this is something that could potentially interest you, a digital figure drawing class. because I do this all the time in my classroom, and it's it's fun. It's really fun, and it's something that is a little different, um, but it could be something that we do in this live stream one day. I know that my core audience is not necessarily digital; they are a little bit more traditional. But it would be fun just to kind of like mix it up a little bit. So I would love it if you can let me know in the comments if this is something that would interest you, um, to do a figure drawing class also digitally, because I could go crazy with this stuff, and we can do it in layers, and there's a lot of fun things that we could do. Yeah, totally. Okay, cool. So let me get out of this. Um, 1 second. All right. Wow, that was an interesting live stream. So note to self. Um, okay, so Phoenix, thank you kindly for the live stream. A digital figure drawing class would be good. Some classical music in the big um, background. Okay. Uh, awesome. Awesome. All right, everybody. Listen, I appreciate you joining me today. This was fun, and this was a really good, fun session with the mechanical pencil. I enjoyed it. I think I need to have more ideas when I love drawing out of my imagination. It's great, and how I do it is I definitely look at stuff and I try to memorize it, and then I draw from what I've memorized. I just didn't look at enough stuff before the class. So next time I will do that. Awesome. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining me here today. And remember, if you're looking for more of this, and if you're looking to get feedback on your artwork so I can help you, check out some of the links in the description. And yeah, I got some good courses out there, and I've got some one-to-one coaching if you're interested in that as well. Thank you, Slar. Appreciate it. And Pencil Pages, thank you so much. Phoenix, thank you so much. William Navarro, I appreciate you joining me here today. Master Q9, awesome. Organic Paul, thank you so much. I hope everybody got something from today's live stream. It was a little bit more of a chill class. I kind of like doing the figure and photos from photos and portraits from photos. So when I do the stuff from my imagination, Batman 99, thank you. I love doing it. I just need to be a little bit more prepared than what I was here today. But again, I think I gave you some good, valuable information. So I appreciate you visiting here with me here today. Awesome. There's a little delay, so I'm just waiting. And listen, if you have ideas for the live stream, because lately I've just been doing them a little bit off the cuff, let me know. Let me know, and I'd like to incorporate your idea into the live stream. Awesome. You got it, Master Q9. My pleasure. Yes, John. Go for it. You got it, Phoenix. Appreciate it. Thank you. What's that one question, John? When you do the thumbs in Photoshop, When do I do the thumbnails in Photoshop? Um, do I ever paint on top of them? Um, so, how, yes. So, how I use Photoshop now, John, is that I use it for teaching. Okay. So, I definitely paint on top of the line drawings that I do when I'm teaching. So, especially in perspective class. Yes, I definitely do that. And so for me, it's 1,000% teaching. Now, when I was a full-time illustrator back in the day, I did all of my thumbnails with a pencil, and I usually drew them on the manuscript. And if there was no manuscript for that project, I would draw them on paper, like what I showed you today. So so just to recap, John, thumbnails are different for every artist. And so, what I used thumbnail sketches for was when I was reading the manuscript, if the author was a good writer, I would read a sentence and I'd be like, oh my God, that's the idea for the book. And I would do a quick thumbnail on the manuscript. Um, and so that was my visual. And then I would go get photo reference or photograph a scene with my own camera, if applicable. Okay. But in terms of doing a thumbnail, everybody has like their different process. And so for me, it would be thumbnail, rough sketch, final sketch. And there were different times I would have to do different things in accordance with the schedule with the art director. So a thumbnail for me was just being rough and getting the idea down. In a classroom situation, I would do a thumbnail and then, yes, I would paint on top of it. I usually keep them on the side. I keep them on the side because they're just the first part of a very long process of image making for me. It's getting the idea down on paper. Hope that helped, John. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And I'll talk to you soon, okay? I appreciate you joining me. You all have a good day.